you should apply. Aside from that, we have our Water Smarts 101 workshop. We just had our previous one, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Our next one is coming up on Saturday, May 23rd. This one will be on irrigation maintenance. So if you attend the workshop, there will be free raffles, giveaways. We cap it at 30 people as well. But for this one, you'll learn how to identify common issues, adjust your water system for seasonal weather, and you'll learn about available rebates. It's really fun. It's only an hour and a half long. It's open to the public as well. So if you want to bring your kids, your grandkids, the family or friends, feel free. All you have to do is RSVP on our website at westernwaterca.gov/watersmarts101, or you can just call our customer service line, tell them you want to RSVP, and we can jot your name down. And then my last update that I have is I have our water use efficiency team coming out here, I think it's July, right? Yeah, July. They're gonna actually present on all water use efficiency related topics, including like our rebates, any free programs that we have available to our customers. Because a lot of our customers don't, you guys don't understand sometimes that all the free resources that are available to you. So they're gonna come in, break it down, make it easily accessible for you. And if you guys have any common questions, they'll be able to help you out. So if you have questions on rebates, how to apply, things like that, they will be here. And we'll also do a booth, I think. I think that's all I have. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Okay, anybody here from the PD?
Just walked in.
Oh, just in time. Perfect timing. So you get the grand entrance.
I'm still gonna get cake. There you go.
Yeah, you gotta get the important stuff first.
All right.
Sure.
All right, folks, I don't have anything new update for us from PD safety-wise. Nothing really big has happened for us to announce, although we are having Coffee with a Cop if you've done one of those. I left some flyers in the back. It is April 16th. And I didn't bring my glasses. So April 16th from 10 to 11 a.m. at the Three Dog Bakery on East Alessandro. You don't know about it. There's flyers in the back. Anybody have any questions for me? For PD, anything safety-wise?
For people who work, we can't go, so can I request in the future y'all do it on like a Saturday or Sunday?
Absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes we're also limited by the business, but I'll have LaShawn ask, Saturday, Sunday. Anybody want evenings or just Saturday, Sunday?
Oh. Both.
Okay, I'll ask her. Anybody else? That's the easiest I've ever. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll do some general updates, and then we'll have our city manager, Mike Futrell, come up here in a minute. Just a little background, since it's our anniversary, the purpose of the group was to establish a bipartisan hub for collection and dissemination of information so people can make informed decisions, be aware, and be prepared. Transparency and community engagement are themes for the people, by the people, and of the people. Accomplishments, we've got over 2,500 now on our email list. First meeting was at Cactus Cantina. We had 45 people. Our largest meeting was the first meeting for the Kmart project, and that was over 165. We use technology and AI a lot to enhance our ability to identify and review issues, look at data, and we're using it more and more now to be able to analyze information, and we're doing a lot of investigative reporting. Speakers we've had have included, of course, the city manager, the police chief, the sheriff, county supervisors, state senators, candidates, water district, county DA, and others. Issues we've covered, of course, the Kmart apartment project, utility charges, the Marsh APA warehouses, city council activities, traffic, semi-trucks, there's a good one, maintenance, waste management, RPU transmission lines below ground instead of above ground. Fruit flies, we addressed that one. We learned how to do a lot of things. Today I was all day in a FEMA emergency management class directed at water and wastewater treatment during an emergency. I'll be there at that class again tomorrow. We've attended the Citizens Academy, Citizens Fire Academy, Police Academy, DA Academy, any academy we can get into, we're willing to go. Anyone know of one? We're going to learn whatever we can. We're part of the Chiefs Advisory Council, the Fire Chiefs Advisory Council, of course, we're members of NBT, RBT, EBT, VOAD. Anybody knows what all those are, then so. City council meetings and other committee and community group meetings. Just a reminder, the March JPA put off like 3 or 4 times now the hearings they were going to have on the cargo planes, and they're still put off, I guess. We have no new date on when that's going to be, so wanted to alert you to that. The semi-trucks are still out there. The committee for the city council committee did $1,000, recommended $1,000 per ticket on October 15th. I don't know that it's come up in front of the city council yet to approve the $1,000, but I'm aware of it. So that would be nice. Right now, we've counted probably $100,000 worth of tickets. Okay, general meetings updates. Of course, we're going to talk tonight about Measure Z, proposed tax increase for the June ballot. New construction, we have not heard any more on the Kmart project, over 180 units. The planning department has not given us any updates. We've made numerous requests, so we assume it's still moving along. Related news, Brian and I finished a 3-day CERT Train the Trainer training. Our investigating reports, we're coming out with a new one on the March JPA. And we're coming out with one on electrical infrastructure safety, wildfire risk, and community preparedness. We've got our Magna tours, which we'll go over that here in a minute, and our committees and NBT presentations, and the Riverside Election Integrity Team groups. So, our tours. We've lined up a number of these tours. If you want to sign up for these, please email us. All these groups have agreed to give us tours. And a lot of them, they don't get tours very often. So we managed to get tours with those so everybody educated on how things work.
They're on the website.
They're on the website. Okay. So you can go to the website and sign up for the tours. Okay, I'm going to bring Lauren up. He's our board member in charge of our legal goings-ons and so on and voting. He's going to go over the 2 new committees we've created. And some of the other few things, take a couple of minutes to go over those that we covered in the board meeting.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I love a room like this. Love it. You who have joined the organization, you who have paid your $12 and become a voting member, we have opportunities for you. Last week, the leadership board created frameworks for 2 subcommittees of the Mission Grove Neighborhood Alliance. The first, because this is a volunteer organization, the first is called the Community Activities Committee. And the whole purpose of the Community Activities Committee is looking for stuff that's happening in our zone, Southeast Riverside. You just watched Lewis run through a whole series of bullet points of different committees and groups and outfits in the community. The Community Activities Committee needs to be watching for those things. So if you want to get involved in the goings-on of Southeast Riverside, we invite you to jump aboard and do it with us. And help alert us to what's going on, what we're missing. More eyes is better for everybody here in Southeast Riverside. The other one, is the Public Affairs Committee. These are the government watchdogs. Now, the Mission Grove Neighborhood Alliance, we try very hard to be a stridently nonpartisan organization. Ye government representatives in the room are chuckling inwardly. We get it. But we really are trying to be nonpartisan here at the MGNA. However, nonpartisan doesn't mean ignorant. So, it is important that we pay attention to what's going on in the government of Riverside, city and county, and we need more eyes and ears to help us with that. So, if you want to get involved watching the committee meetings, sometimes it's boring, sometimes it doesn't make sense for a minute, but the more you watch, the more interesting it gets. It's crazy about that. And if you want to get involved in that, you want to be a piece of you want to be part of the Public Affairs Committee, we would love to welcome you aboard. Those are the sorts of things that your membership gets you access to, and we would love to have your help going forward on those committees. Questions?
Virtual, we watch them virtually?
Sure. Yeah, they stream most of them. Yeah. Yes.
I have an idea. So I represent the School of Public Policy lot of young people who are in that school who maybe could get internship credit for being a part of your organization
Hey, send them our way.
and watching the meetings and reporting what they see or
You
film.
bet. I think there's absolutely room for us to set up something like
It should be have young people involved.
that. Yeah, sure. Anything else? Okay. Anything else you want me to talk about? Okay.
Unless you got something?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you all very much. Have cake, there's more.
Okay, the other thing is, working with MBT, we've come up with some public input and data transparency initiatives. We've been working with Denisha, with the city clerk, in trying to get more transparency in the reports for city council meetings concerning e-comments, emails, speakers that speak live, and public opinions, because right now, a lot of times you don't know how many e-comments went in unless you were diving in deep into the well of the website to figure out how many e-comments there were, or other comments, and they're not always recognized in the minutes. So we're trying to get those recognized in the minutes. So if you go back and look at the minutes, you can see that 65 people spoke, so many were e-comments, so many were email comments, so many were there live. Instead of wondering whether anybody spoke, you have to go watch the video in order to get it. So we've been working on that, and she's been very cooperative with us. So, how many have you heard about the sheriff's thing with the ballots from Proposition 50? Raise your hand. Okay, this is not part of the Mission Grove Neighborhood Alliance, but Brian and I are part of the Riverside Election Integrity Team. We were part of the original members of that team in 2022, analyzing the ballots and so on for the elections. So, I wanted to clarify a couple things that are out there, because the news media is all over this thing, claiming this some mysterious group came up with these numbers. It's not a mysterious group, it's people just like you, nonpartisan group that simply, it started with a woman named Yvette, who started analyzing the 2020 elections. She was a math wizard, and she started analyzing the data, getting the data from the Register of Voters, analyzing their data, counting up what they claimed were the number of ballots that came in compared to the number of votes counted, and it didn't turn out to match. There were more votes than ballots. Well, that meant that the ballots were multiplying, or doing something. So we subsequently did the 2022 election, 2024 election, and it's been the same results each time. We met with the RV to try to figure out what it is, and we're not pointing any fingers other than we need to do a recount. Well, what happens is with the ballots, the law says they have to be destroyed after a certain period of time, which means then you can't go back and recount them. Now, in this case, because of us, we sent reports to the county supervisors, to the sheriff's department, to the DA. We've been doing that for years with our findings, and finally, it got the interest of many of the county supervisors, and the sheriff decided, since the ballots were going to be destroyed in about a month, then there needs to be an investigation and just go back and recount the ballots. Has nothing to do with the outcome of that Proposition 50 election. There's going to be no counting of where anybody marked the X on the box. It just has to do with how many ballots came in and how many ballots were counted to vote. That's it. And I would think that anybody would want to make sure that that's a match, right? Minus the ballots that are destroyed and so on, which is typical. So that's what the case is all about, even though you see all kinds of hoopla in the media between the sheriff and the state, and they're carrying on about blaming each other for this and that. That's the whole thing. And we were the ones that provided the initial evidence to basically say we think there's enough here to do an investigation and figure out why it is. It might be some simple thing. Somebody's not counting right, or they don't have a process that's right. Who knows? But the first thing is to count the ballots. And if we don't count these, then the 2024 election ballots will be destroyed in October. So if it turns out there's a problem with these, then we might need to go back and count those and see whether it's the same problem with those. So that's the whole reason for it. It's simply counting the ballots to make sure that how many ballots we received is how many got credited for voting. So that's the whole process. So Brian and I are on that team. In fact, we created the name. So we just wanted to let you know about that, so that the media doesn't get because it's just gone crazy with some of the stuff they've said about us, and I'm going, geez, I didn't know we had all that. So,
But more importantly, if you have any questions, you can ask people that are involved, not the media.
yeah, true. So, any questions on it? Jay?
I think you should tell them what the numbers were and the differences, because when you just say,
Okay,
we had X number of ballots and we had more votes, that doesn't really create.
it was roughly 611 ballots were received, 611,000 ballots were received, 657,000 were counted as voted.
That's a significant difference.
It's 45,000 difference.
Almost 10%.
Yeah.
When do you expect it to be complete?
Well, right now it's tied up in the court. The appeals court today put a stop on it and a stay on it to review it again. And everybody's accusing everybody of all kinds of stuff. It's just a simple thing of just counting the ballots. There's no count of who marked what or what nobody cares about that. It's just counting the ballots. In the 2024 election, the difference was about 33,000. Now that one is more important because there was a number of contests in the county and so on that were decided by a couple thousand votes. So that one would be more important if it turns out to be, yeah.
Where are the ballots, the 611,000 ballots kept? Like, are they so secure that we can even trust that they've never been tampered with all of this time? Because it's like, why waste money recounting if there's no certainty that, somebody hasn't stolen some, moved some?
Well, they were in the custody of the register.
Mar-a-Lago?
They've been in the custody of the register of voters until the sheriff's office came and got them and got the boxes, and that was done by a special investigation team along with the courts that took the boxes of the ballots, and they've got them now in a secure place, waiting to get approval to count them. So, that's it. So if it turns out to be a match, then that's great. Then we go back and figure out how the counting got messed up, but there's a match. If it turns out it's not a match, then it leads to further investigation. So it's just like the saying, if you see something, say something. Well, we saw something, we said something, and so now there's an investigation to see if there's anything to it. It's that simple. Yeah.
It just seems a little political because, the gubernatorial candidate is the one that sees the ballots to put doubt on voter integrity and elections as a precursor to perhaps November.
Well, it was all based on the timing of when the ballots would be destroyed. It had nothing to do with the November elections happen to be coming up. It has to do with the Proposition 50 election that was last year. Those ballots are going to be destroyed in another month. So if somebody didn't do something to get the ballots kept so that we could count them, they'd have been destroyed, and then we would have lost another election where the count, was different. So it just happens to be the November election coming up. So.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like it might be a political thing,
Yes,
but
it
I don't
does.
think, I wouldn't assume
I
it to be
think some
that.
people didn't hear your question.
Oh.
Even though he answered it, but.
When you mentioned it wasn't political, I read it as political, as the person who sees the ballots is a gubernatorial candidate who would like to cast perhaps doubt on the election integrity of Riverside County.
Well, I don't know what the sheriff's motives are, other than we got a number of the county supervisors, we had special meeting with them, they questioned a lot of the stuff, and so the sheriff decided there was enough evidence to do an investigation and handed it over to his investigators. He would like the results to come out a match. So then there's no more. But, and then we just figure out how the counting was done different, but the ballots match. Because if they don't match, then it leads into a whole big can of worms that, nobody really wants to get into. So this is just a case to verify, were the ballots received the same as the ballots counted. So it just happens to be the November election comes up, it happens to be he's running for governor, but from our situation,
And he's the sheriff.
and he happens to be the sheriff, which is the one that can do that, he can call for the investigation, because you have to realize that you can't, the voting machines that are to count the ballots are proprietary. You can't touch the code. The code is not it's private code. You can't open it. You can't check it. You can't see exactly what it says. And the law says you cannot do that anyway. So it's proprietary software. So there's nothing you can do there other than run tests and run them through and say, yes, it counted 100, it counted 100, but we have no idea why the count was off. We got all the data from the ROV, from their sheets and their data through public records, counted them all, put them through our things over and over again, and came up with a different number. So that's all it is. So,
It just looks suspicious, it read suspicious.
yeah, and the media is taking advantage of it.
Exactly, and that's what you read.
And that's the
in the
media.
news.
We don't have the fairness doctrine anymore to control the media. We lost that back in the 90s. The fairness doctrine kept everything to the facts. Now it's all National Enquirer type stuff. All the media, all the news media now, most of them are National Enquirer stuff. When you watch them, they give you 5 minutes of news, and then you get 25 minutes of 6 people sitting around doing commentary, all agreeing with themselves most of the time, which always gets me. You know, why did you have 6 people to sit around? And then they give you another 2 minutes of news and another thing. So we just wanted to let you know what it's about, and that's really all that it's about. There's been stories about overturning the Prop 50. Nothing to do with that. It's just going to count the number of ballots. It doesn't care whether you voted yes, no, I don't care, or whatever. So, any other questions?
The easiest way to think of it is we're not counting ballots, we're counting pieces of paper. And there better be, we say there's 611,000, the ROV says there's 657,000. It's a real simple thing, just count the pieces of paper. If you got 657, then there's a problem with the way we got the information, which the information we got was from the ROV. We had to file request for information. So they gave us the legal documents of the logbooks. All we did was put it in a spreadsheet, add the numbers up, said this is the number, and then they said, well, this is our number. Well, you sent us your numbers, we counted them.
And we've spent a lot of time down there sitting and observing the ballots being counted, the envelopes being opened. We've spent hours doing that. We even traced the ballots from the mail, from the post office to the ROV, tracked them, how they came through, how they got them out of the trucks, how they passed over the paper. We've monitored this thing for 3 years.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we can go into a whole lot of detail that we don't,
You don't
do
wanna
it
do.
now. So if you have questions, see us after the meeting. We'll be more than happy to follow through with it. You can go to the website, there's information on that.
Okay.
Just so I'm clear, this is something that this REIT, this team, put together, requested this information, and then once you found that there was a discrepancy, did you take it to the sheriff or to law enforcement?
We took it back to the ROV and had numerous meetings with them going over how they did things and so on and so forth. And then we took it to the county supervisors and alerted them. We alerted the sheriff. We alerted the DA's office. We alerted anybody that cared.
So it was the team that found the discrepancy, alerted the authorities,
Right.
and that's when this kind of came up because these ballots were going to be destroyed in
A month.
1 month, you said? So
Yeah.
ballots are destroyed after, what, a year, I guess?
Well, it depends on the type of election. For a special election like Prop 50, it's like 66 months. For a regular federal election, it's 2 years. So the 2 years from the November 24 election is coming up in October, so those will be destroyed. And the law basically says they will be destroyed unless the court or somebody says, no, we want them kept for some reason.
And just one further follow-up. When you took this back to the Register of Voters, did they have an answer for you?
We spent hours and hours going over their processes and procedures and how they did stuff and everything. I'm not going to go into all those details, but we spent a lot of time at the Register of Voters. Thank goodness they're close. So, but we spent a lot of time with them going over it and over it. And it's not a case of trying to blame them or point fingers at anybody. It's just that we're coming up with with different numbers. They're coming up with different numbers, so the only way to check it is just do a simple count. And let's figure out, what's going on. That's all it is. Do a simple count, hopefully it comes out, and then we figure out where the counting error was, and we're done, and we move on. So, anything else?
When is the final tally to be expected?
It depends on the courts now, they've held it up.
And when are they supposed to give it?
They just today, the state Supreme Court held it up. So, there's a hearing next week on it to hear all the arguments, Yeah.
And at that time, we'll come out with a judgment saying, go ahead with the recount.
Hopefully,
Okay.
we hope they can be counted. So, but we'll see.
To answer your question, they said about 5 days to count the votes, because they're gonna count them by hand. So,
The good thing about it, it's a small enough election with enough votes to be meaningful, but not 1,000,002 or something. It was 600 and some odd
it
thousand.
could be 4 days if there's only 611,000 ballots, but if there's 657, it'll be 5 days.
Okay, now we're gonna get our city manager, Mike Futrell. He's come up every year at our annual anniversary, and so we welcome him.
Thank you, Louis. I appreciate it. All right, I will need that, and let's find out. Oh, you have my slides? Well, while we wait, I'm Mike Futrell, City Manager for the City of Riverside, and I have the privilege and honor of leading about 2,600 city employees as we service the city and protect you and do our best to improve the quality of life. That includes everything from police, fire, public work, and there we go. Let's get that started. Okay, this is, as was said, my third time here. I've been here a little over 3 years, and I was here your first year. So congratulations on how you've grown and the activities that you've engaged in has been very, very, very helpful. So we're going to talk about the city. What are we going to do today? Where's Riverside headed? What's up with the fire department? Because that's an issue right now. Our budget tomorrow at the Budget Engagement Commission is the first time that we preview publicly and get comments on our next year's budget that starts July 1, and then some questions. So, this is our mayor and the city council. I work well with all of them. And I will tell you, at a high level, they all want the same thing. They may disagree on how to get things done, but we're all aligned on what we need to do, big picture, and that's very helpful. I take my direction from the city council and the mayor on the vision, and it's my job to figure out how to get it done. So, where are we headed? Up, yes. These are our priorities in a nutshell. I keep one eye on today and one eye on the future. The today is public safety, police, fire, working with our homeless, city infrastructure, potholes, park maintenance, and then improving our quality of life. And that may be all the programs you see at the parks out here. How do we bring joy to the people who live in Riverside? What I'm looking at the future, what council is earnestly focused on is our economy. We cannot rely on these warehouse jobs. They don't pay enough, they're going away, and this whole region really needs to reinvent itself into jobs of the future that pay well, that will not be replaced by AI or robots, and jobs where people can afford to live here and their kids can afford to buy a home here. That's not going to happen by itself. So we spend a lot of time trying to say, how do we bring that together? We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight and tell you where we're going. So first, public safety. Police, thank you for coming. We have an outstanding police department. And now, for the first time in 20 years, they are fully staffed. That is amazing. Yes. It's been a multi-year effort working with our amazing police chief, Larry Gonzalez, working with our city team, removing roadblocks. We did not lower standards. We are fully staffed because we have great culture here and because the community supports the police department. We get a lot of officers from other departments, like Los Angeles, who come here because they're proud of what they want to do and they can feel the pride of the community. So thank you in getting us there. As a result, 2024, we had a 25% reduction in crime. Last year, we had an additional 22% reduction in crime. And right now on major crimes, we're running 100% solve rate with those. And we finally have 15 motor officers out there giving tickets, whether it's the big rigs or whether it's please don't speed, don't run red lights. We're out there now making that happen. The $1,000 fine is still coming. It got caught up in legal in city attorney's office on can we do that, how do we do that, and it is coming back to council soon. I think they have overcome that, but it turns out there's state laws and things that we have to figure out, and I think they've got it figured out. But we do want to fine these big rigs $1,000. California Highway Patrol is still out there helping us on the major roads like Alessandro, pulling them over, giving them tickets. The problem where the tickets are what now, like $100 right now. That's the cost of doing business. So hopefully $1,000 will make a difference when it comes to that. There also, in police, we've invested in technology. We have over 1,200 surveillance cameras around the city, and we just went to drones as first responders, which is really cool. There are drones on top of City Hall. You call 911, the drone dispatches, and within 5 to 10, 15 seconds, depends, the drone is looking at where that spot is. The dispatcher can see that on his or her screen as you're talking to them on the phone. The officer responding can see that same image before he or she arrives on the scene. So really leveraging technology to keep us safe. We are out 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. working with the homeless. We are making a difference. Last year, we achieved virtual zero for youth homelessness, working with our school districts to understand which of your students are homeless. That's a category that is much easier to work with. We are at functional zero for veterans homelessness right now, because there's so many programs in the federal government to help the veterans. Unfortunately, the fastest growing group for homelessness are seniors. Social Security is just not keeping up with rent. And a typical scenario is sad. You have a couple, they've had a successful life, they're both retired, one dies, the income is cut in half, and now they can't afford to live there. And frankly, and I'd be the same, they're too proud to ask for help. Please, if you or someone you know needs help, call us. Last year, City Council started a program for seniors to keep them in their homes, to provide rental assistance so they don't fall into homelessness. We know right now that about 21% of our current homeless have been homeless for less than a year, which means a year ago they had a house. How do we stop people from falling into homelessness? We're spending so much money and time on the other end of the pipeline, on the drug addict that is so hard to deal with. We've got to do some work on prevention, but we are making a difference when it comes to homelessness. We can go into this. We have engaged with our churches. That's a faith-based conference we recently had to engage them in our effort, and we also recently had a conference with all the cities around us so that we can work together on this issue. Quality of life, man, if we put some money into parks, because this is really the joy of living here. We have 65 public parks. I found that crazy when I got here, but we love our parks. We opened Tim Strack Park a few months ago. The pickleball complex at Arlington, I was there for the ribbon cutting, and when I cut the ribbon, I thought I would be trampled to death by all the people trying to get on the court. So very popular. We dredged the lake at Fairmont Park for the first time in 14 years, and the paddle boats are back. They are in the boathouse, and when the weather gets warmer, but here we are, they'll be back out on the lake. We did not find any bodies in the lake. That was the prognosis. But what I'm now calling the East Side Community Center is under renovation, $25 million grant-funded renovation of that community center. Boardwell Gym is under construction, $9 million grant-funded brand new gymnasium. And then we're bringing back the Armory at Fairmont Park. doing a lot of work at Fairmount Park. It's actually a beautiful building on the inside. It's been vacant for 2 decades. We have a private company, Thompson Brewery, right here in Riverside, homegrown, that is taking it, going to turn it into a restaurant and a brewery, and another company is going to build pickleball courts all around it. That is a recipe for success. I can't see that failing. But so much happening. And we're under construction on the new Eastside Library. $21 million grant funded. The Eastside Library was renting a space in a strip shopping mall. That was the library for that community for a very, very long time. So finally, getting a really nice library for the Eastside. And the museum is back under construction after being closed for almost a decade in our downtown. So renovation and expansion, that will open early next year. Of course, right across the street from the Cheech, right next door to the Riverside Art Museum. Those three will work together as an economic powerhouse as well as quality of life. So under construction and moving. And Public Works, really doing a great job. We finally figured out how to pick up trash every day. When I first got here, that was the #1 complaint. Easily 100 complaints a day, because I discovered that easily at least one garbage truck was breaking down in the middle of the route, if not 3. Now, that is not the case, thankfully. We are paving streets. 2 years ago, we paved 51 miles of streets. A record last year, we paved 50 miles of street. And despite the budget that you will soon see, we will continue. We'll have $26 million into street paving next year. We're going to keep pounding on street paving to make that happen. Medians, we're trimming trees more frequently, which palm trees are dangerous. And we had a lot of claims against the city. We have a lot fewer claims now that we are trimming the trees. Now, on the economy, we have a new economic plan. This was a meeting, at this point, over 2 years ago. We pulled together the business community, residents. I think, Louis, you were there, and we talked about what are we going to do? What is our direction? And this is, in a nutshell, what we came up with. If you want to bring good jobs, all 3 of these gears have to turn at the same time. If you don't have quality of life, nobody wants to live here. Nobody's going to bring jobs. If you don't have trained workers and trained for the right skills, the jobs aren't going to come. And then the jobs. You have to go out and hustle. We compete. San Bernardino is out there competing. Ontario's competing. Rancho Cucamonga is competing. Long Beach is competing, doing a great job attracting jobs. You have to go out and compete, sell this city. And these are the 5 areas we're focused in. All jobs are good jobs. We support small business. We have people that focus on our existing jobs and how they can grow. But you can't be all things to all people. Who are we? Green tech, medical, aerospace, arts and tourism, and general tech. We're having great success bringing these jobs in right now. Okay, there we go. It has helped that we are a free trade zone. What is a free trade zone? If you import anything into the city of Riverside, when you fill out the right forms, you do not pay tariffs. Now, 2 years ago, that was not as big a deal. Today, it's a very big deal. And we have gotten foreign manufacturers to build manufacturing plants here and domestic companies to relocate here so they can avoid tariffs, as well as take advantage of our quality of life. And any given day, we have 60 to 70,000 college students in this town. We have a talent pipeline. But being a free trade zone, that helps us a lot. And having our own public utility company helps us tremendously. So this is our electric rates. Now, it's a little, I still think we have the lowest electric rates in California. I live here. I pay that bill every month. It's hard for me to say we have the lowest electric bill, but at least we don't live in San Diego or PG&E or Glendale, or for those who have Edison in this room, I hope that's no one. We are far, far less expensive. Now, Anaheim right now shows a little cheaper. Anaheim, as the electricity they buy goes up, they just pass it on to the consumer. So when, if you recall 2 years ago, the price of gas went way high, Anaheim rates went through the roof just overnight. We, the RPU, we don't do that. What your rate is what the rate is. Doesn't matter if the price of electricity goes up, price of natural gas goes up, your rate is the rate. But for now, but still, we have very, very low electric rates. What's helped us is that if a business goes to Edison and says, I want to start a business, they will commonly say, it will take us 18 months to get to you. It'll take us 18 months to get the equipment and hook you up. That doesn't work in business. The Hyundai plant that is now open here, we did it in 3, because that's the speed of business. And owning your own company, your own electric company, helps you do that. Now, we do have the lowest water rates, but I'm guessing many of you are on Western. So I will say, in defense of Western, they are cheaper than many, and they're on here. They're cheaper than Pasadena or Burbank, and the Riverside Water Company does sell water to Western at a discount. So there's a little benefit there. But for those that are on Riverside Water, it is the lowest water rate in California. Another competitive advantage for us. And our universities. We have 3 4-year universities. We have a huge community college. And we do work really well with Cal State San Bernardino, with just a couple of miles over the line. Again, any given day, 70 to 80,000 college students here. 2 things I want to show about that. For UCR, we work a lot with UCR. UCR is very focused on inventing things in the university. It is a research university. It's actually a top-tier research university. Last year, when the federal government was talking about cutting all the grants to universities, the statistics came out. UC Riverside gets the 2nd most federal grants of any university in California. The only one that gets more is Berkeley. And most of those come from the Department of Agriculture, as you might imagine. It's a very successful research university. But what they discover needs to come into the community to form new companies to hire people. And so UCR has 3, and now the 4th under construction, programs and buildings that just focus on that. If they invent something life science in the lab, they can work with outside funders, form a company. The university has an incubator, and that company can try to grow, and they have had much success there. What's under construction right now on University, across from University Terrace, University Village, they tore down in the building, $65 million tech incubator that is under construction right now. It's the largest of theirs. So just highlighting that, if you see that construction on University Avenue, right outside the university gates, that's what it is. Its whole purpose is to create jobs in Riverside by bringing the university into the community, forming new companies, and then we all hope they grow. And opening soon, the Northside Agricultural Innovation Center. It's a project between the city and UCR where next generation agriculture will be invented. We also will train the next generation of farmers on how to use that tech so they can make a living farming. For example, if you see this greenhouse on this side, it is a greenhouse, but it's also a solar panel. The entire thing is a solar panel, so it lets in enough light for the plants, but also collects enough to power the entire deal. That is a private company that's partnered with us to test that on this site, and they think, and it sounds like it should work, it's going to be a revolution. So some really good things happening in Riverside. I don't know if I'm pointing the right way. There we go. And a quick snapshot of the last, at this point, about 24 months. $4.8 billion in new construction projects, 2,300 new businesses, and 18,000 new jobs. Riverside's economy really is doing well. A lot of it is small business. We are still at like the largest number of family-owned businesses in the country, but we are very successful when it comes to our economy. We work that really hard. Just a couple of the economic wins that are notable. The vehicle on the top is a heavy-duty truck, all electric. It's under manufacturing right now. The first one will roll off the line next month. They will produce 600 by the end of this year, 2,000 next year. They're the only ones in the country producing a heavy-duty all-electric truck. And in California, they have a big need for that. It's called Voltu. Next to it
We
is,
tried to get him to come here and show one off.
well, we should. We'll invite you to the one that rolls off the line, but they're in production right now, hiring in Riverside. Right below it, Hyundai. We all know Hyundai, the car. This is Hyundai Rotem, same company out of Korea, manufacture hydrogen-powered trains. Their first contract, 200 hydrogen-powered trains for the Olympics. So they have been in production since September. They have a facility here building those trains, hiring our people. The one next to it is an EV charger. It's the largest EV charger manufacturer in the Asia Pacific. They're building a $50 million manufacturing plant right now in Riverside and hiring people. Green Power is a Canadian company. They collapsed their 5 locations in the United States into one here in Riverside. Above it, Omeo, which is autonomous EV shuttle maker. They have a production facility near our airport. And then Stored Power Technology is hydrogen and artificial intelligence. This is all in the last 18 months. And a lot of this is our outreach to foreign companies who want to locate here to avoid tariffs, and because we're a huge market. Just some great stuff. And our hospitals. Riverside Community Hospital has started its $1 billion expansion. Kaiser is probably less than a year away from finishing their $800 million expansion. And last July, all the UCs came together, signed a letter of agreement to build a teaching hospital for our UC to go along with our medical school. Huge for us. Yes, that is a game changer. The first building is supposed to start in less than 3 years. The whole thing, probably 7 years. But I think we all know or have heard that our area is woefully short of healthcare, of doctors, and a teaching hospital. That's amazing for us. And then you have the north side. This is an old golf course that some of you may remember. The city owned the golf course, been closed for a very long time. We're in agreement now with a company that has Olympians on the team, so to speak. And what they really envision is building an Olympic training site, which we all get to use. 41 acres of commercial, restaurants, grocery store, 700 housing units, and then about 80 acres of a whitewater adventure center. This will be under construction before the end of the year. We're still in negotiations on price and terms, but it is moving forward. Right next to it, you may recall the old Ad Brown soccer complex, which has also been closed. We're in an agreement with a local company, actually, to bring back a soccer complex. We'll have a soccer stadium, and they have signed agreements with professional soccer to bring professional men's, professional women's soccer to Riverside, as well as a youth development league, meaning if you have a youth that is interested in becoming a professional soccer player, they can join that league and develop hopefully into that. But 1,100 homes, restaurants, a music venue, and 4 big soccer fields. Depending upon the age of the soccer player, as many as 10 fields available for the public at a low discount, because we want accessibility for people who live in Riverside. So part of the beauty of this is these 2 projects are right next door to each other, and they're working together. So we'll probably close Garner Road, and so it'll flow into one big attraction. When I first got here, people said, Riverside's awesome. We're 1 hour from everything else. Now, we will have something here that people will come to, will hire, and just enjoyment for us. The main entry, traffic-wise, will be Main Street, which is a 4-lane divided boulevard, which goes right under Highway 60 into our convention center. So we are moving forward with expanding our convention center. Our convention center right now is small. They're booking 2 years out. Our convention center is smaller than the convention center in Visalia, California. So There's a market there, there's economy there. It comes with 2 hotels, Class A office building, venue space. We are in a partnership with a private company to get that done. But once you get those built, people will come here for a convention, they'll bring their kids, they'll stay 3 or 4 extra days because they want to go to the water park or they want to go watch a professional soccer game. They'll stay in our hotels, they'll eat in our restaurants. This is how you build a downtown economy and employ people. But you have to have a reason to come, and that's happening. And Fleming's is under construction downtown. Right across the street from the Fox, they finally put the window wraps in to say, coming soon, Fleming's. It will open in about 8 months, but every day there's workers inside making that happen. I'll have to say this was a hard sell. I met with the CEO of Fleming's. The city did the research to demonstrate that the demand was here, that people make enough money. I like Fleming's, but what it really is, it's a statement about where Riverside's going. That people will look and say, well, something's happening. They have a Fleming. So, awesome. That's under construction right now. And I left the fire department to this point, and we do have our deputy chief, Brian Gazzetta, here. Thank you, Brian, for being here to handle it. Yes. Brian's going to handle any hard questions I have, which I'm expecting a lot. But I wanted to start with this one. We are one of only 4 cities in California, and only one of 34 in the entire nation that are both ISO #1 rated and internationally accredited. Our fire department is amazing. They are technically proficient, they are hardworking, they know how to put out a fire. They do have some concerns, and that is the number of calls for service. Last year, over 47,000 911 calls answered by the fire department. We are on pace to exceed 50,000 calls for our fire department. As was shown earlier, the new state fire maps are out. If you are in those areas, you will receive a letter from the fire chief in about 30 days to say the fire department is going to come inspect your home, your lot, your property. State law requires fire department to inspect now over 13,000 parcels to make sure that whatever rubbish or wildfire combustible stuff is being cleaned out. And if you're not, you'll receive another letter from the fire chief, but it just adds work to the fire department. It's needed, absolutely. We had the Hawarden fire 2 years ago, biggest fire in this city's history. We lost 7 homes completely. We had community meetings in this room, but if you look at where the fire went, 99% of that was privately owned. You had a little bit owned by the flood control district and by the county. So as a community, we have to pull together, but it's a heavy load for the fire department. Service demand is growing faster than capacity. That is the basic issue. We have 225 firefighters. We have not added a frontline firefighter in almost 8 years. We haven't added a fire station in almost 20 years. And yet the city has continued to grow. And this is the projection, this line of the calls for service as the city continues to grow. So, I don't know why I'm not pointing at the one. There we go.
When you point to me, I do it.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should just literally point to you. So I still call him the new fire chief. Steve McKinster is our fire chief. He's been fire chief now about 15 or 16 months. Grew up here, 26 years in the fire service, finally became our fire chief. I think he's an amazing fire chief. Recognizing this growth, commissioned a study with a national firm to look at what do we need to do? Where are we going? What is the strategic vision for the fire department? And it had some findings, which we'll go over here. I'll point. There we go. First, so you know, we have 14 fire stations right now. And this is where they are. We are down in this area, down here. This was the last fire station built right here. This area has grown a lot in the last 20 years, but no fire station came with it. So frankly, this is an area of high concern on what to do about fire protection. I like to show this picture because this is literally one of those 14 fire stations. It is an old house that was bought 30 years ago as a temporary location, still used as a fire station, and they backed the fire truck up into the garage of the house. This is not sustainable, and it's also in the wrong place when it comes to traffic and how to get to places. So, why does it matter? Why it matters is because of response time. It is all about how fast can we get to you if your house is on fire. 6 minutes is the golden rule. Fire doubles in size every 1 minute. We need to be there in 6 minutes or less to save the home, to save the people, because after that, it just conflagrates. And the deputy fire chief can tell more. Right now, citywide, we're at 7 minutes and 38 seconds. I will tell you, if you're up in this area, it takes longer, because there's only one fire station, and if that fire station is busy, it's going to take longer, and that is worrisome. It also matters when it comes to, next slide, health. Now, 70% of the response calls are medical. This is your emergency first responder. 6 minutes is also the golden rule. If you're in an auto accident with injuries, if you have a heart attack, a stroke, we need to be there in less than 6 minutes to have a chance of making something happen. Still, 7 minutes and 38 seconds is where we are when it comes to medical calls. Every one of our firefighters is a licensed paramedic, and they will wait there until the ambulance shows up, which is typically 11 to 20 minutes later, and that won't do. So it's all about response time. How can we get to you, get to your home quickly to make sure that we save life, property? So why don't we? Well, if we only had one call at a time, no problem. We got this covered. That does not happen. It is concurrency. So if you look at this, in 2024, the blue is good. The red is overload, which means we had multiple calls all at the same time and everybody was out. 14 stations. The yellow, critical overload. We had a market critical overload last year. We had a huge fire in the western part of the city. And then during that fire, we had a commercial fire up in the warehouse area, up in this area. And then a fire broke out at Whole Lake. You know that area? It's near the airport. I learned it's not actually a lake. There's no water in there. But the fire chief made a conscious decision to not respond to that fire. We had no resources available, but they knew the wind conditions, they knew the area, and said, it's going to be a slow burn, we'll get to it when we can. And eventually they got a truck out there and took care of the fire. We had really a more severe situation just 2 weeks ago. You may have heard about the large pallet fire in the northern part of the city. Turned into a 22-acre conflagration. Structures were evacuated. At its peak, we had 94 firefighters and 40 fire trucks fighting that fire. And then we had a fire break out on the other side of the city. And actually, I brought the statistics because it's remarkable. It was a bad fire. We had 3 firefighters went to the hospital from that fire. 1 stayed in the hospital 5 days from that fire. But while that fire was going on, we had 40 medical emergencies, a traffic collision, a vehicle fire, a cooking fire, a room and contents fire, a trash rubbers fire, 2 fire alarms, hazardous materials investigation. So, they did a hero's job. But I know that some of these medical calls, we got there in 20 minutes. That's not going to work. So, this is really it's all about response time. If there was a way we could be there every day in six minutes, we're fine. But right now, that we're just not there. This is the study's prediction of what will happen to this overload concurrence. And you can see the red gets bigger and bigger, as does the yellow, just because we're a big city. And whether it's traffic or we just have a lot happening in this city. This is a worry. When we look at staffing, we said, well, how do we compare with our peer cities, Glendale, Pasadena, Long Beach? We are absolutely the smallest fire department per capita. And that's really the issue. They just need more bodies to respond. So, there we go. This was the study's conclusion, is that right now, to achieve 6 minutes, we need 84 more firefighters. We haven't added one in 8 years. We need a bigger fire department to match the size of this city. And then that also comes with at least 2 new stations. This area absolutely needs a station. Unlike police roam around in their cars. They kind of live out of their cars. It's not the same. Fire, they stay at their houses with all their equipment. They get a call, they dispatch from their firehouse. They don't drive around all day like a police car, kind of waiting for a call. So having fire stations in the right place is critically important. So I have been in this business 30 years. This issue scares me. And I'm just saying, as a resident, whether it, again, an auto accident with injuries, somebody having a stroke, or a house fire, we've got to get this right for the community. And wildfire is real. 10 years ago, wildfire was maybe 2 months of the year, and I always thought it was some big forest in the north. Now it feels every day and in neighborhoods. So it's an issue with our fire department. Next. And how do we fix it? This is how much it costs. Yeah, it's not cheap. Right now, fire department gets $65 million a year. Takes $17 million to hire 84 firefighters full-time, and then $8.7 a year to build what we need to build. Which leads us to, well, let's go do that. Next. Well, actually, the fire chief does a much better job than I of describing this. If you can go to this QR code, and there's a handout with the QR code, it's about a 15-minute talk by the fire chief, and he'll go through all of this in a much more, I'll say, learned way, but we have that available. Next. So, here we go, the budget. Let's talk about our budget for a little bit. We have a strong budget. It is balanced, we have great reserves, we are well positioned for whatever recession or madness happens in the world tomorrow. I will say I'm pretty excited about the Artemis mission. That's a bright spot, and a bright spot for me and my wife Susan in particular, as our son is a Navy officer in San Diego. He is on the ship that is going to retrieve the Artemis. They left yesterday. They've been training for that mission for months with NASA, and our son will be in the water. He is a search and rescue swimmer, so if you can imagine the capsule bobbing out there with little boats around it and some people in the water, that's my son. We're very excited about that. Yeah. He's the lead swimmer. Okay, he's not just a swimmer, but we're just super pumped, and he is too. It's crazy about that, but everything else in the world is crazy too. So this is our current year budget. The blue is general fund. That's property tax, sales tax, some other things. The red are the grants that we administer. We have gotten really good at grants. So whether it's $80 million for the new 3rd Street rail separation, we're going to build that by the end of the year. We'll be started, or the $21 million new library. We have really gotten good at getting other people's money and bringing it to Riverside. So we look, well, where does it go? 56% of the money goes to police and fire. That is the bulk. $211 million a year for the police and fire department, because public safety is number one. That is the core function that we have to do. Then we have parks, public works, Housing and homelessness have a small piece of that, but bulk of it is public safety. Next. We do talk a lot about Measure Z. Measure Z is part of the general fund, but we administer it separately. We account for it separately for transparency, so you know where that went. If you know Measure Z, 10 years ago, the voters voted in a once-in sales tax, and we have always just managed it separately so you know where the money is going. Of Measure Z, 70% of that goes to public safety. 75 million of it goes to public safety. The next biggest pot is public works, and most of that is street paving and potholes. The next, well, they get really small after that. We do spend some money on parks. Park maintenance is big because we need to do that. But the bulk of Measure Z right now goes to public safety. Next. As a reminder, Measure Z in 2016, so get a lot of questions about that. This is the language: to prevent cutting police, firefighters, paramedics, 911. And it has done that. There were no layoffs, and it is stable. And repair local streets, potholes, and infrastructure. So that's basically our budget. Next. Well, there's a slide that says, well, what can be covered by Measure Z? Measure Z is due to end in 2036. When it says fully committed for the next 5 years, we do a 5-year budget. And we budget ahead 5 years. Where are we going? So that we maintain fiscal responsibility. And again, 70% of it is set aside for public safety. Then we have money for potholes and parks. So that's it. Next. And then this is the new budget. This is the one we will show tomorrow night at the Budget Engagement Commission. It is already online. There's a lot of information online about our budget. Charts, graphs, histories, anything you want to know. We try to be very transparent because it can be confusing about where does the money go. But what this shows, it shows a 5-year forecast and a completely balanced budget. That is an achievement. And we actually have our budget director here. Thank you, Sergio, who's been working for months and months with the department to make sure that we have a balanced budget. Next slide. But how did we get there? How we got there? We cut $18 million out of the budget. We tightened our belt because, folks, these aren't great times. We're projecting sales tax to dip. We're projecting property tax to dip as well. We're all anxious about what's happening in the world, in our country, and what do people do when they're anxious? They do nothing. They don't buy cars, they don't buy a house, they wait until predictability comes. That impacts our budget. But like you, if your budget dips, you tighten your belt. Instead of that Hawaii vacation, you're going to go camping. And that is what we have done and what we are proposing in the city. We are cutting 38 positions out of staff, and we are living within our means and without impacting levels of service. That was our #1 thing. We cannot impact the level of service to you, whether it's in parks, or whether it's in streets, or whether it's in police and fire. And we think we have accomplished that. Now, we did have some additions. The police and fire budget, they had some cuts, but then they had a whole bunch of ads that could not be avoided. So it's actually a bigger budget for police and fire. And Measure Z is now 72% of public safety. But the point being, we have tightened our belt at City Hall, and we have a balanced budget over the next 5 years. I hope it gets better. If it gets better, then we can revisit it and pave some more streets. But we're making it work as we should. Next. And the future is bright. It really is. When I look at Riverside, not just compared to other cities and other states, but it's just an amazing place to live. So we have a high quality of life. We are able to invest in quality of life and infrastructure and public safety, while at the same time bringing in better jobs which over time will benefit all of us. I think the cliff of employment is no joke, whether it's AI that replaces the job or robots in warehouses. Amazon already has a plan to cut 75% of its workforce worldwide. This region has the highest concentration of Amazon warehouses of any place in the world. It is coming. We have got to regroup our economy and we are doing that, I think, successfully, and we'll continue to focus on that. So take heart. There are better days ahead. It's a great day to be in Riverside. When we look at the madness around the world, whatever that may be, just know it's not happening here. And how I stay sane is, sometimes I just don't watch the news, but I focus locally, and I can feel good about what's happening on any given day. Next. And, there is an opportunity for you to participate in the future, and you must take advantage. And I know Brian Lewis and the team will. We are writing a new strategic plan for the city. The strategic plan is called a general plan. That's the state term for it, but it's really our strategic plan. The heart and soul of it is the zoning map. Where do you want multifamily housing? Where do you want warehouses? Where do you want parks? Where do you want bike paths? We will start public meetings in May on that topic exclusively. We've been working this plan for about 18 months. We had a lot of public meetings. We've taken the last 3 or 4 months to take all that input and create 3 maps, 3 scenarios for you to consider on where do you want the zoning to take place in the city. And it could be some conglomeration of those. It could be a 4th map based on public input. Look for those meetings. I'm sure Brian and Lewis will put out those opportunities to come. We'll have the maps, and you can come yell at us. You can come throw roses at us. I don't know. But that will happen starting in May and last for a number of months. But it has been over 20 years since the city wrote its strategic plan. I think we'd all agree things have changed, and we want your input on what the next 20 years will be. This document has huge legal implications. It is the document the city council must follow. State law allows them to only change it 3 times a year. That's how serious it is. So let's get it right the first time, and do participate. We want you to be a part of that. Next. And connect. I did leave my business card on the table. It has my cell phone number, has my email. Please contact me. If you like coffee, the coffee house right next to City Hall is like my second office. I meet with people all the time. I've met with Brian and Lewis there a number of times. But do not be shy about reaching out if you have questions or needs or problems or suggestions, whatever. Because this is what it's all about, is participatory government and making that happen. And of course, you can follow us on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and we own our own TV station. I hope you all know that. And it broadcasts 24 hours a day. If you have cable still, we have a cable channel. If you don't, you can watch it live on YouTube. And you can download that YouTube onto your phone, and you can watch it on your phone. We have a news show every Thursday where we try to bring Riverside-focused news, not LA news. We hope to expand that to more than just one day a week. And we do broadcast live things like city council meetings, if you care to. We also have a lot more creative programming now from our K through 12 schools and from our universities, where the students are creating content, and then we show their content on the TV station. Our next goal is to get a Reader's Digest to you. Yeah, does anybody not? TV Guide. Does anybody remember TV Guide? I grew up with TV Guide. Yes. It sat on top of the TV, and it had, you circle stuff, and you say, oh my God, I'm going to miss it if I don't. But we're going to get a TV Guide to you so you could say, oh, Riverside TV has this new short film that was produced at UCR. Maybe we want to watch that. So we try to keep it fun. I am open to any questions and anything, but I was hoping to bring a positive message we do need to work and help our firefighters. I think that is a community conversation we need to talk about well, how do we do that? But overall, it's really headed in the right direction. So, yes, sir.
Hi.
My mouth is too big for this. Two questions. First, the project that you mentioned earlier about helping the homeless, and
Yes.
when you got to the seniors, you basically said that you have a program where they'll be helping the seniors with the rent.
Correct.
And my question was, is there a companion portion of that that will help seniors that already own their own home or have a mortgage?
Yes, it will apply to that. So, how it works is you call our office, and first we will get you on. There is a federal program that will help, but the wait list on that is a year or more. In the interim, we will pay up to $600 a month cash so that you can make the mortgage or make the rent, whatever it is. And then once you then get onto the permanent federal program that helps seniors stay housed, well then we stop. So we're a bridge because it does take well over a year to get through the feds. But yes, it would apply.
Okay.
So.
The second question involved the staffing or of the fire departments and their response time. You made mention that most of your calls are paramedic calls as
Correct.
opposed to fire calls. And I understand that most of the firefighters are paramedics. Wouldn't it make more sense in the long run financially to supply each fire station with at least one or two paramedic units so that the paramedic units can be dispatched as opposed to a huge fire engine which has to be manned by at least 4 or 5 people?
4, yes.
Okay.
Short answer is yes, and I see Brian standing up. If you want to come up and see if I get it right. We have gotten creative. This past year, 4 of our fire stations now have an ambulance operated by AMR in them to address just that. But Brian Gazzetta, Deputy Fire Chief, take it away.
Yes, a great question, and you're exactly on par for what we need to do. 70% of our calls medical related. We do not need to be sending a large fire engine, a large fire truck. So anybody in here, you call 911 right now. That phone call is answered by one of our dispatchers. They're going to ask you right off the bat a series of questions. Within 1 minute of you calling, they're going to determine what's the emergency and what is the most appropriate piece of equipment to send. Right now, we have 4 squads, we call them, rescue squads, that are staffed with a paramedic and a firefighter, a small pickup truck, in essence. They go to probably, I'd say 12,000 of our calls are responded by those squads because we can get them quick, small amount of people. We know what your emergency is. Now, our city manager talked about a master plan that was developed where we had a consultant come in and ask what would be the best case scenario. One of the highlights of that was that we need more squads. 3 additional squads distributed throughout our city in areas that we have targeted where a lot of medical aids occurs. It's a great idea. It is the future. It's incorporated into those 84 additional firefighters to have additional squads throughout the area so that we can get there quick, get there within those 6 minutes with the appropriate people, the appropriate training, rapidly.
But dedicated primarily for paramedic response.
100%. Like we said, we have 4 of them right now. Ideally, we would have 7. Great distribution throughout the city, quickly to get to those calls and absorb a large amount of that call concurrency with a small amount of people, the best distribution for dollars.
How is that going to impact the budget? Is that already budgeted in for, or is that something that we're...
It is not part of the current budget.
Okay, so in other words, we're going to have to either increase taxes or find another way to finance that expansion. Is that correct?
So, you're gonna get me in trouble in this, so I'm a little worried. There is a ballot measure on June the 2nd. There's a card that I think is in the back that there are some meetings about that coming up. By state law, I cannot do anything which might, I can't talk about the tax because I'll be accused of trying to get you to vote yes or get you to vote no. So I have to be really careful about that. But there is a ballot measure on June the 2nd, and there are 4 upcoming meetings, one in each area of the city, over the next 30 days that will specifically talk to that. But if anybody asks, I know we're filming, I am not telling you how to vote, just to be clear. I don't want an ethics violation against me.
Would most of that tax, from what you're talking about, would most of that tax be to finance the
Purchase of,
How about I do this?
no, just quick one. Would most of that tax money be designated for increasing the equipment or hiring the personnel?
General tax.
General fund.
So, we're going to answer the question. It is a general tax, meaning city council can spend it on whatever wild thing they want to spend it on. It is up to you as a voter to keep them accountable. Measure Z is also a general tax. But the ballot measure question reads, City of Riverside voter-approved transaction and use tax renewal measure to fund general local services such as 911, fire police response, preparing for wildfires, recruiting, retaining well-trained firefighters and paramedics, preventing crime, keeping public areas safe and clean, addressing homelessness, repairing pothole roads, shall a measure renewing the existing City of Riverside voter-approved transition and use sales tax at an updated 1.25% rate, providing approximately $106 million annually until ended by the voters, subject to audits, spending disclosures, all fund control locally, be adopted. So, to answer your question, as a general tax, the city can spend it on anything it wants, but the ballot measure does list specific items, and I would suggest it is your job as voters, and mine as a voter, to keep whoever's elected accountable for where that money will go.
There's no mechanism in place for us to do that, and that's the problem. Once it goes into the general fund, like you said, they can do anything they want, and the only thing that we as the public can do is go to city council and stand up and say, you didn't spend the money on what we wanted you to spend it on, and they say, okay.
Understand your point? Let me bring it up. I hope we can at least all agree on the basic premise that I delivered tonight, which is there is a concern in the fire department. We as a community need to talk about that. How we address that, that is really the community needs to make that call, not me. So it's really about, in my mind, how to do it.
You did a great job tonight. I applaud you. I enjoyed your presentation. I loved the information you gave. I didn't go to sleep, and that's saying
Yes. There are a lot of numbers up there.
Any other questions?
Now,
Yes.
one last thing.
Sir.
One last thing. Is there a way of making or changing this thing that you're talking about to specifically have the money go for those things that
I'll say this, when we get to it, I'm sure that Louis will talk about that. I will say that the deadline for anything or any changes for the June 2nd ballot has passed, and I've read the ballot question that's on June 2nd. Yes, sir.
Question over here.
Yes.
You want to?
Yeah, so I'll make it quick. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. Very informative, very interesting. I appreciate your professionalism about, patch act, like not.
Thank you.
Not so I understand and appreciate it. My question is about fire, right? And I totally understand that, a tax is for purchasing services. those fire departments should need to rise?
No, it's a great question. We collaborate all the time with CAL FIRE and the fire departments from the cities around us. And if they are available, they will come help for things like the monster fire 2 weeks ago. But Hawarden Fire, for example, the Corona Fire Department did not come because they had their own fire, and they couldn't come. The Moreno Valley wildfire, what was that, just 10 days ago? Huge fire. We sent resources into Moreno Valley to help them. So, and I don't think there's any charge back and forth, right? Because we understand some days we'll need it, some days you'll need it. Now, CAL FIRE does charge us. They send those big airplanes. We got to pay for those airplanes and helicopters when they come. Yeah, thank you. But yes, we do have mutual aid agreements for those, for the larger events. I don't know that we would rely on them for like medical calls or things like that, but regardless. But we do work cooperatively with everybody around us and CAL FIRE as much as we can.
And if you would like, I could just add one other thing, especially unique to this area. So I know that we have County Engine 8 over in the Woodcrest area. We have Mead Valley 59 that is in the Mead Valley area. Right across the freeway, we have the Moreno Valley stations. They are in no different state than we are. They are very busy. And even to the point that we provide fire protection all the way up Van Buren to Meridian and across Meridian, county area and JPA area, because they cannot provide fire protection there. So we squared off the city and the county area. We are the closest resource. So when we ask, could Station 8 in the county in Woodcrest help us? The answer is really no, because they're in the same area. They're not even able to run their calls, and we're having to support them at a level.
Hello, one quick question. Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard you say it was like a shortage in the fire department for our people. So my question was, because I work with youth from the ages of 13 to 24. So how could I get information out to the older ones, like, okay, the fire department is hiring, or, you know, like information that I could provide for them to kind of lead them in that direction?
I love that. We love hiring local. I know, for example, 70% of our police officers are local. That is awesome. How can we connect youth to the fire service?
Yeah, definitely. And we're always looking, you know, myself, I started my career here locally, working at the local community college, a product of this, live here, work here, was educated here. You can reach out to me. We have plenty of recruitment programs. We have plenty of outreach. We're always looking to bring the youth, not only to give them an opportunity to show them what the fire service is, the pathway to success. So just reach out to me and I'll share with you all of our opportunities.
I have a question right here.
Okay.
So the 1% sales tax you talked about, it was geared for 20 years and we've only completed 10 years. So what happened to that? What happened to the planning, if you, not personally you, but if it was said that it would be 20 years, and now at 10 years, now we're gonna change the story up and ask for more money.
So, I would say that's a great policy question that perhaps our electeds can answer. I would be afraid to answer that because somebody in this room would charge me with trying to get you to vote yes or no. So it is on there along with a 0.25% increase. So we go from 1 cent to 1.25. That added increase on $100 is 25 cents. Does not apply to groceries. None of it applies to groceries or prescription drugs. But as I appreciate it, it is sculpted to meet the needs of the city. But as to why that policy,
When somebody in our city says it's going to take care of it for 20 years, we have almost the higher taxes. We're one of the few people that have higher taxes on our sales tax. And I'm thinking if you really want sales tax, then you would want Costco instead of letting
Oh, I'd love to have a Costco.
It happened before you were there, so it's not your fault at
Yeah.
all. I don't mean that.
Love to have a
But I'm
Costco.
saying if the city has to be interested in opening up retail businesses, then instead they're going to Corona and instead they're going to Moreno Valley.
Sure.
Then you'll get the sales tax because we're all there spending.
sure, we try very hard to open those. I'd love to have a Costco. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
We are right now at 8.75. around us are at 8.75. There's a couple in the county that are higher than that. I think all of LA County is higher than that. So going from 8.75 to 9 is what is proposed. As to why the policy decision was made, 20 years are different than that. Really ask the electeds that put it on the ballot. Again, because I just don't want to get in trouble by people. I'm trying really hard not to get in trouble. Yeah. I'm sorry? Oh, I do not know one way or the other on that. There is, again, we're having 4 informational sessions that will be exclusively about that. Today was my annual update on the city as a whole, and I wanted to make sure to raise a serious concern that I have about public safety in our community, and just say it is something that we as a community need to figure out. Now, how we do that, we can debate all day long, but it is a community issue we must face and do something about one way or the other. But
Hi, Mike. In response to your question about the 1% tax, it was 1%, and it was on, at that time, 7.75%. And we actually went up 1%, which was actually 12.9%. That's how much money we actually went up. Not just one, but 12.9% more revenue. In addition to that, there's a thing called taxflation. Every time that there's a price increase at your tire shop or wherever it is, you're going to pay more sales tax. And over the last 10 years, prices have gone up in this area about 37% over 10 years. So that plus the tax, that puts you up about 49%. That's why when we started this, it was $48 million is what we were going to bring in, and now we're at 90. 83. And by the end of the 10 years, we're going to be, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1 billion. So we're
$1 billion a year? No.
No. Total in the next 10 years. So it's going to double. And then if you add the 0.5% sales tax, it's a quarter percent. It's a quarter percent. It's kind of misleading because it's 25%.
It's 0.25.
Yeah, but if you have 1% and you go up a quarter.
Well, I know that you can twist the math, but it goes from 1% to 1.25%. So
that's a quarter.
You can say it's a quarter. No, I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy this. If you say it's a quarter of one, had we raised it 2 cents, then it would not be. So I mean, you can twist the numbers to say it's a quarter, but it's not. It is going from 1 to 1.25. Let's just use the real numbers and not change it into some percentage that it's not. So there it is. You're going from 8.75 to 9. That's what it is.
And we're
Let's
going to
just be
be
factual.
at $1 billion 10 years from now. And if we do the 1.5, we'll even be about 1.3 billion.
Let's talk.
It's inflation, right? It's unfortunate, but every time inflation goes up, the city benefits by it.
You want the paramedics to save your life or not?
Oh, I do.
All right then. There you go. You gotta buy it.
No, I think what the issue here is, you have to, and Mike, I appreciate the presentation, but it's, you only bring in X number of dollars, and you gotta decide where you want to spend it.
Unfair.
I know we do. We voted that 10 years ago, and we didn't get it. And now they're asking us to start all over again.
The city is growing and needs more services. I mean, like, do you want to live in, like, the Riverside of 10 years ago?
No.
Well, this is a debate that I don't need to be part of. Hold on.
I've been here 57 years. I've seen a lot of change.
Again,
It's all really good. I'm just saying, I want to make it better.
I hope we can at least, again, agree 100%. Fire department needs help. How to do it? It is up to this room and rooms like that to figure it out. So,
let me tell you, my house almost burned down in Greater Willis. We lost 3 homes on our street. And honestly, I support them.
all right, I got one question right here. Let me take one more.
UCR and in collaboration with the city.
Yes.
And I think it would be a fabulous project if, when the city gives their once-a-year
somebody write that down. Luna Avocado to the Riverside. And you know, I love your question because it put us back into a happy place. That things really are great. Our universities are thriving. La Sierra is growing. UCR, or rather CPU, has its record enrollment. UCR has its record enrollment. UCR grew the fastest of any UC in the state last year. We are succeeding as a city. So take that happy moment home with you and feel good. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up next month. May 13th, we have Supervisor Medina, who's scheduled to be here. So we encourage everyone to come back. And there is a way to make this tax specifically for fire and emergency. And that's not to make it a general tax, but make it a special tax. It's a special tax that automatically gets earmarked for those things and gets audited that way. So there is a way to do it, other than to just put it in the general fund. So, but we'll talk more about that. Okay, you need some cake on the way out? Take some cake on the way out. That'll make you feel better.